Alright, here we are once again on the InfoWars. European Commission President claims disinformation the world's gravest threat of 2024. Well, let's get into it. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen declared that misinformation and disinformation, sounds the same to me, but anyway, represents greater threats to the world than war and economic downturns. Yeah, because once you have people listening to other forms of media other than the mainstream media, which in my opinion, and this is my opinion, it's controlled by, the governments, people start thinking for themselves. And that's a bad thing for politicians. Anyway, getting into it. Speaking at the World Economic Forum's annual confab in Davos, Switzerland, on Tuesday, von der Leyen claimed disinformation was the biggest problem given to 2024. The biggest electoral year in history, with numerous elections set to take place around the world. And yeah, again, you don't want the people thinking for themselves. For the global business community, the top concern for the next 2 years is not conflict or climate. Really? But the climate cultists say that if we don't lower our CO2 emissions, we're all going to be, yeeted in a couple years, even though they said that a couple years ago and a couple decades ago. But anyway, so wouldn't the climate be more important? Because misinformation doesn't mean anything if we're all toasted, right? Anywho, continuing with the article. Followed closely by polarization within our societies. I'll admit it, when I first heard that word, I didn't know what it meant, so I googled it. Polarization, noun, dividing. I wonder why she couldn't just say division within our society. I wonder why. The act of dividing something, especially something that contains different people, or opinions, into two completely opposing groups. Does it have to be two groups, or can it be several? I don't know. The polarization of society into rich and poor can clearly be seen in urban areas. Our goal is lively discussion, not polarization. But who caused this polarization that she's worried about? Well, the politicians. It's like, if people cite different sources or question, say, climate change or the cough, they're basically ostracized from society. So you create one group who drinks the Kool-Aid and one group who thinks for themselves. In my opinion, anyway. Anyway, back to the article. Von der Leyen then called for collaboration between governments and corporations to fight against industrial-scale disinformation. In my opinion, it's the corporations that are pumping out the industrial-scale misinformation. Disinformation. But that's just my opinion. So I guess I'll pop in this little video that came with it. So here we go.
Dear Klaus, let me go back to the number one concern of the Global Risk Report: disinformation and misinformation. Tackling this has been our focus since the very beginning of my mandate. With our Digital Services Act, we defined the responsibilities of large internet platforms on the content they promote and propagate, responsible to children and vulnerable groups targeted by hate speech.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
Hate speech. It's speech they hate, and by they, I mean the government. It's just like misinformation and disinformation. To them, what's misinformation? Information they don't like people to know about.
Offline should also be protected online. And this is even more important in this new era of generative AI. Now, the World Economic Forum Global Risk Report puts artificial intelligence as one of the top potential risks for the next decade.
So, holy crap, it's not just misinformation and disinformation, it's also artificial intelligence. Again, wouldn't climate change top all three of them? But I guess not. Or how about nuclear war? Because, you know, Russia and the US are fighting over Ukraine. But anyway, that's it for my thoughts on this annual World Economic Forum meeting thing. Well, take care out there in Clown World.